All right, we got our hockey panel here this morning to talk. Oh, yes, hockey. The riveting RotoWire duo of AJ Scholz and Paul Bruno. Paul, hold on a second. Quick stat here. So the Leafs blow their 7th game when holding a 4-1 lead since Game 7 of the 2013 playoffs. That was in the first round. No other NHL team has 4 such losses. I don't know if I've seen like a 5-1 collapse the way that I witnessed in the game that I witnessed last night against the Panthers.
It's the joy of being a Leaf fan, person. I mean, you take the highs with the lows. Sadly, those lows are like tattoos on me. I wear them for a while.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, shocking. But
yeah,
the way they talked after the game, I was satisfied too. When you look at what they've done in the last couple of weeks, they've beaten all the heavyweights, and they come out with an overtime tie even in that circumstance. So I guess I'll take it. 7 points out of 8 against those 4 Titans in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, AJ, Toronto looking like it is in postseason form already. But last night in that game, Jonathan Huberdeau becoming the first player in franchise history to top 100 points during that incredible comeback. But speaking of 100 points here, AJ, Johnny Gaudreau of the Flames trying to join the 100-point club. Like, he has never done that in his career. He's 5 away, so unlikely to get there this evening, although he did have 5 assists in a game versus Edmonton back on March 26th. He's been hot lately. Do you want to pay up for him on the wing tonight?
Well, Emerson, let's start by pointing out the fact that your Bruins did a big favor for the Leafs as well here in dropping a game to Detroit. Like, I don't feel bad that the Penguins lost to Colorado. A lot of people lose to Colorado. But losing to Detroit did not look so good. And way to do Paul's Leafs a big favor there.
Somebody called that yesterday, by the way.
Nobody called that. Don't pretend. Anyway, back to Johnny Gaudreau. It does make a lot of sense. It's a decent matchup with the Ducks here, but when you consider that the Red Wings have allowed the most goals in the league over the last 2 weeks, despite beating Boston last night, I think you have to consider paying up for the top of the price range here and go with Kyle Connor at 8,400. Yes, he's returning from missing the last 3 games due to COVID, but prior to that, this is a guy that racked up 26 points in 15 contests, including 8 multi-point games over that stretch. I mean, when you consider he's scoring at least 2 points a game in pretty much every other game right now, I think it's worth paying all the way up at 8,400. Even though that's going to cost you a K more than Gaudreau, he's just been too good lately to not at least consider going all the way to the top.
Okay, what do you want to do here, Paul?
Well, I'm looking at pairing up one of 3 different pairs of wingers here. I'll explain myself because there's 3 lopsided matchups, and I think that each of these duos could really pay off. The high end goes to the Winnipeg Jets, Kyle Connor and Nikolai Ehlers. They're $8,400 and $6,700 respectively. They get that matchup against Detroit that AJ touched on. They're on the second of back-to-backs. They did come up with maybe their signature win of the season yesterday, I'll say that, and I did call it, by the way. And Gaudreau and Tkachuk, they get a very soft matchup in Anaheim. This team is more into celebrating Ryan Getzlaf's last few days. They probably had a blowout last night after he announced. And so I look for Gaudreau and Tkachuk to pad their stats in that one. $7,400 and $7,000, that price tag for those 2. And then the best deal of the night comes from St. Louis visiting with Seattle, who comes calling on them. The home game for the Blues features Tarasenko at $6,400 per on at $6,000. Those guys have been on fire of late, and I think that's where I'm going to go.
All right, where do you want to go then at center, Paul? I'm looking at Stamkos here. He has 11 points scored in his last 7 games.
Yeah, he's a very good pick, too. I'm going to go a little bit cheaper than him, though, and look at the game between Vancouver and Vegas. And 2 centers that are opposing each other, Jack Eichel, $7,400, and JT Miller, $7,200. They're both on a hot streaks, and you can make a case for either one. If you want to save a little bit of money, go to the guy who's centering the hottest line in the hockey outside of Toronto, and that's Elias Lindholm at Anaheim, $6,500 his price tag. And if you want to really go cheap, there's a couple of guys from St. Louis who get a nice matchup against Seattle, Shen and O'Reilly, $4,900 and $4,800 for the 1-2 punch at center for St. Louis tonight.
Okay. Scheifele's there at 6'2", maybe facing the Red Wings that are coming off a real high of knocking off the Bruins, AJ?
It's an intriguing option and one certainly to consider. I think I prefer to look, especially if you're going to play some GPPs, maybe grab somebody with a little bit lower drafted percentage here. Evgeny Kuznetsov is going to move into the top line spot with Ovechkin. Now they're going up against the Lightning, but the Lightning haven't looked quite so, Stanley Cup champion-esque of late. Kuznetsov, for his part, 6,300. He's also on that top power play unit. He should get plenty of chances. He's got at least a point in all but one of his last 14 games, and that was without playing with Ovechkin. Now you move him into that top line. 35 shots over that 14-game stretch as well, so a decent floor there. I think Kuznetsov is a good, especially a GPP target tonight.
All right, guys, need you to go quick here on the blue line. AJ, you've been paying up for dudes back on defense lately. You going to do it again tonight?
Well, let's clarify. I paid down for Mike Matheson last night, and that paid off big time as he picked up a goal. And I'm going to do the same tonight. Look, Quinn Hughes is questionable to play for Vancouver tonight. And if he's out, Oliver Ekman-Larsson will be the quarterback of the number one power play unit. He's just 3,300 tonight. He's also found his offensive game of late with 4 helpers in his last 5 contests. So paying all the way down for Oliver Ekman-Larsson makes a ton of sense for Vancouver tonight.
A pay up spot or a pay down spot for you, Paul?
I'm hammering the mismatches, so I'm going to pay up here. Alex Pietrangelo, 5 goals from the defense spot, 30 shots on goal in his last 10 games played, cost $6,500 against Vancouver. Josh Morrissey, $5,400 against Detroit. That tasty matchup features him coming in with 4 goals and 3 helpers in his last 10 with 30 shots on goal. Rasmus Anderson, I've been on this guy all season long. He's in my season-long teams, wherever I can get him. $5,100. He's on a hot streak, too, with 6 points in his last 10 games played. Again, featuring that Anaheim matchup.